Well, we're located right between the Bay of Green Bay, which is 5 miles to the west of us, and Lake Michigan, 10 miles to the east of us. We don't get the real hot weather, maybe for a little bit, but we normally cool off pretty much. For us, it's just a nice place to raise a family. Basically, we're about 6 generations with Austin in this area. My dad farmed with his grandfather and got into milking cows and really liked that part of it.
Well, my grandpa started the farm where it's currently at. He had his first milk check and it wasn't as much as his feed cost, and he knew something had to change. So that's when he ended up getting into registered Holsteins.
I came to the farm in 1987 when I married Dan. We bought it at that time from his parents, and now we're in the process of turning it over to Austin.
I remember a day we were cutting hay right here in Brussels, and a new highway was going through. They were moving the highways from a half mile north of us to a half mile south of us, and cutting up a piece of our farmland, and there were going to be a lot of people moving in and buying property, and I told them the hayfield up against the town of Brussels was probably going to end up being homes one day. It didn't take him long, and he looked at me and he says, "Where am I going to make hay for my cows? We can't sell the land." I probably knew about that day that he was going to end up back on the farm.
But he's just kind of always been into the cows and the breeding and liking the dairying part of it. I don't think he ever thought about doing anything else. We did tell him it was going to be tough. It's not an easy way to go, but he wants to bring his kids up the way he was brought up.
So about 4 years ago, we had some events that happened on the farm that led us to have to invest in some of the infrastructure on the farm. At that point, I was learning about robotic milking, robotic farms in college, and thought, well, might as well keep all of our options open, whether it's parlor, staying where we're at, or putting robots in. I sat down with a couple different builders, brands of robots, worked through pricing and building a barn that incorporates cow comfort and how we can build on what we're doing here. Ideally, it's going to be a 2-robot setup. I'm going to have my dry cows and springing heifers in the same robotic barn as well. There'll be a bedding pack for the younger animals, moving up to free stalls, and then a new manure system as well.
We're very proud of him. He really has put his mind to it. He's thought a lot of things through. He doesn't do anything fast or rash. He thinks it through.
I think he enjoys the genetics even more than I do. He spends a lot of time looking over pedigrees and different bulls, which is good.
In the past 2 years, we've raised our rolling herd average about 2,000 pounds. Our RHA is 34,000, about 1,350 pounds of fat and about 1,100 pounds of protein. Classification-wise, we've had 4 94-point cows in the last 5 years. I haven't quite got that 95-point cow yet. That's definitely a goal of ours. I don't believe Door County has had a homebred 95-point cow yet, so one day I'm hoping to be the first.
The thing I like the most about the dairying part is, 1, I get to work with my family. 2, the registered Holstein part of it, I get to see improvement in the cows. Well, I go into a lot of other farms. I see where there's milk is the only income, they're not into registered. And I see the improvements we made and a little extra income that helps us stay at 40 cows. To me, registered is the way to go. We have cows hitting 10 and 12 pounds of fat and protein a day. Holstein's the way to go, because I don't know another breed of cow that can do that on a whole herd. Where we came from 40 years ago when I started, if we could have predicted where we'd be now, nobody would even guess. But the excitement of having the next generation and maybe the next 2 generations on the farm, that's kind of what it's all about. If you're willing to work hard, there's not a better life, really.